Hi, I'm Yitzhak Wanon, and today I'm going to be presenting about Always On in a cloud environment using load balancers. For the purpose of our presentation today, I have an environment which consists of two VMs in Azure. The third is a domain controller. If we connect to one of the machines, we will see that we have under the cluster admin, we have two nodes. One's in North Europe and one is in West Europe. And I've already configured Always On. I have three groups. Initially we're going to concentrate just on the demo group with one database production. And now we're going to add the listener. How do we go about adding a listener? In Azure, in order to add a listener, you need to use a load balancer. So we're going to go create a load balancer. We need a load balancer per machine. If we look quickly at the machines we have, then this is in North Europe. YitsDB1 is in North Europe, and WE is in West Europe. So let's go start to create a load balancer. So I'm going to add load balancer. So choose the resource group it's in and give it a sensible name. Load balancer North Europe. Obviously the region I will allocate it now is North Europe. Here we go. It's internal, I don't need a public IP, I need a standard because my machines are public IPs. I have to give a virtual network and a static IP that I want to use. This is the IP that I want to give to my listener. So it's same as the subnet 192.168.18, which is my North Europe, and I give IP4. Review and create. So now it's deploying and it's creating me a load balancer. Afterwards I have to go ahead and start to configure the load balancer. We've just given it what's called the front end IP, and then we have to add other configurations. So let's go to our load balancers, and here it appears now. So here I have the front end IP that we allocated for 18.4. Now I need a backend pool. Backend pool is essentially which virtual machines are going to serve this load balancer. So we'll give it a name, a sensible name, and I have to choose a machine with its IP address and add. That's deploying now. It does not take long to deploys. So now we're defining which load balancer, which machines the load balancer will point to. Here we see we have one virtual machine. Now we have to configure the health probe. Again, a logical name. Now, this port is a port that's going to be defined for the load balancer to do a health probe on against the cluster. So it has to be unique amongst the whole cluster. So I know this port is not in use. I shall use this port. I'm going to do a separation of port numbers between my north and west load balancer. I'm going to put odd numbers on north and even numbers on west. Let's just refresh the portal, and we'll do it again. Here it's created us the load balancer. Now we have to create the load balancing rules. Again, a logical name. We've only got one front end IP configured. The port is the traditional SQL port. My backend pool has one machine, I've only got one pool, I've got one probe at the moment, and I enable the floating IP. Okay. That's configured the load balancer for one availability group in one zone. Now we have to create for the other region. We'll do again plus. And now we're going to create our load balancer for Western Europe. That will be WE. Let's obviously allocate it to Western Europe now. It's internal, standard, static IP again. Here it's 192.168.17 this time, and 4. I'm going to keep the same IP address, same end of the IP for each region. Review and create. Create. Again, with this load balancer, once it's deployed, we have to configure the backend pool, the health probe, and the rules. So we'll just wait a few moments till it finishes the deployment. Go to our load balancers, and we go to our new load balancer. Front-end IP is already configured as what we put in. Backend pool, we now have to add the virtual machine. Again, give it a sensible name. Here I have two machines that appear because one is our domain controller, which is sitting in the same region. But obviously we want our database server, and add. Won't take long till that deploys. And it's already deployed. Okay, just refresh because I find there's a problem with the probe. Sometimes it doesn't work. We have to do it again as we saw before. we probe. Here, last time we used 5999, and I said I want to keep odd and even numbers separately for my different regions, so I'm going to give 59998. And that's already saved. It's creating a probe. Refreshing the screen worked. Go to our load balancing rules. We have to wait for each thing to finish because each step is based on the previous step. We've got a front-end IP, our ports, the SQL port, our pool, enabled, OK. Okay, now we've prepared two load balancers, one for each region, for one front-end IP that we'll be able to use for one availability group. Okay, we have all of the Azure portal elements configured. Now we have to configure it in the cluster. We go to our always on group, to add resources, client access point. We give a name that we want the listener DNS name. So I'm giving AO-demo, and it notices we have two subnets. Finish. What has it added for us? It's added us a name with the two IPs. We go into the IP configurations. This is for North Europe, and we're going to give it the IP that we gave, IP4 and IP4. This is for our North Europe, so we're going to advanced policies, and we're only going to allow the possible owners to be North Europe. Now we'll do the same for the other subnet. But this time, this is West Europe, so we're only allowed on West Europe. Now if we look briefly at the DNS name, we'll see that it's dependent on either of the IPs. Now we're going to go to the always on group to take it offline. And we're going to make it dependent on the name, which in turn is dependent on the IPs. Okay, that's most of our way here. Now we have a PowerShell script we need to run. Here we have defined our cluster network 1, which is North Europe, IP4, the listener port that we gave it, and the command that we have to add, configuring it all together. So we go to PowerShell, Just paste the command, and then that's for North Europe. We do exactly the same for West Europe. Different IP and different port. And we run it. Now I have a command that we can see the IP and port configuration. And we see here we have 18, which is North Europe, is configured 59999, and 17.4 is configured 59998. Okay, now we go back to our cluster admin and we bring the whole thing online. The owner was West Europe, so our West Europe IP has come online. Let's go to SSMS now. If we refresh the availability group listener, we'll see we have a plus and it appears here. Just have to go in and define the port. Okay. Let's take this connection window and we're going to connect to AO demo. When we run the select, it shows that we're on our Western Europe one. Let's do a failover. We'll see here the GUI will update that this will become secondary. And the North Europe's become the primary. Let's take our connection. We will change the connection. And we'll connect to AO demo again. Before we did the same thing, we connected to the West Europe server. And we run the same command. And you see it's changed to North Europe. Okay, what happens if you want to host various availability groups like I have here? I have a region West and region North. So you only need the same load balancers you already created for each subnet. You just have to add the IPs to be managed by these load balancers. So let's have a look how we do that. So we go back to the portal. We've already got the main infrastructure there. Let's start with our load balancers. And we'll go to our North Europe load balancer. Our front-end IP we have to start with. We have to add an IP here. So I'm going to start defining my always-on group that I said, my West region always-on group. So I'm going to call it and I define a static IP. 192.168.18. I'm going to move to IP5. Last time was 4B5. My backend pool stays the same. I need a health probe for what I added. We've already seen the GUI just likes to refresh before the health probe. Last time I used the port 59999. I'm keeping my odd numbers 59997. Now I need a load balancing rule. Here I have to choose the correct IP. I choose my new IP that I added, number 5. The port still stays the same SQL port. The backend is still the same. My health probe is my new health probe that I added. And I choose floating IP. Okay. And that's deploying. We're going to configure again on this load balancer the other front-end IP for my North region or availability group. So LB. Again, static. Go to the health probe. We're going to refresh the screen beforehand to avoid a problem. Here are the ports. I'm keeping my odd numbers. That's deploying. I have to wait for it to finish, as I said, because each element is dependent on the previous one. Load balancing rule, add. Choose my new IP, a name, LB. My probe is my latest probe, ending in 5, enable, and OK. We've now configured two more IPs, total of 3 on one load balancer. Now I want to go back to our West load balancer and do the same for that. So we're going to add LB West Europe this time, front, static IP. Our West region is 5. We'll create a health probe for that. Here I'm having my odd number ports. So before I use 5998, now do 59996. Load balancing rule for him. Choose my new IP. And my port, enable, and OK. Again, the whole thing one more time for the Northeast region group or availability group. I add LB West Europe front NE region 192.168.17.6 and add. Need a health probe for it. One moment, I appear to be confused. What did I add? I'm adding now my north region, so health probe, add. Has to be very organized, it's easy to get confused. Load balancing rules. Again, I choose from the IP that I added. The port's still 1433 and the probe is 4. Enable and OK. So now we have configured 2 more IPs for each load balancer. We have to go back to the machine, to the server, and configure in the failover cluster manager. So go back to the server, we go to failover cluster manager. We'll start with our West region. Again, right click, add resource, client access point. Give it a name that I want it to have on the DNS. Next. Again, finds our subnets. Next. We have our name and we have our IP addresses. So we go to the names. West region we said was 5. And we go to the second one. 5. And 5, this is subnet 17. Subnet 17 is West Europe. Okay, we'll take the group offline so we can configure the availability group dependent on the name. And then we bring the whole thing online. Again, our West Europe IP is coming online because we are hosted in West Europe. And we go back to SSMS. And we go to our West Europe, and we have the listener is available. We go to the properties, and we set the IP. Oh, I've forgotten a step. Easy to get confused. We have to configure the PowerShell script. So we go for our West Europe, take the script we prepared, we go to PowerShell, we run that. Without this, you cannot fail over. It's given us a warning that we have to take the offline and online because it cannot update the IP whilst it's in use. So we go to our cluster admin, we do stop roll, start roll. Now we should see, if we check the ports that we got for IP 4 and 5, a total of 4 records. Let's have a look. We have IP4 and IP5, 5, 9, 9, 9, 9, 8, 7 and 6. Let's go back to SSMS. And we'll connect using this complicated query. See if I have. We want to connect to West Europe. It should send us to the West Europe server. And so we have. Let's finish off with the North Europe one. Here, right click, add resource client access point. Forgotten my naming convention, one moment. Region NE. That's our DNS name. This we said was IP6, so we'll open here and we'll quickly change. And we're going to take the group offline so we can change the dependencies of the availability group itself. we'll go back to our saved PowerShell scripts that we need to run. Not going to forget them this time. And let's take our quick script that checks the ports. We hear 445566987654. Nice and organized. So we can go back to here and we can bring this region online. This region is active on North Europe. Now we go to SSMS, region North, and close this slot. We have availability group listener. We shall add the IP. Okay. Now we take our little query here. We connect it to region North. Now we're West. Now we connect to region North. And we're on North. Let's do a failover of the North region. Now if I do a new query and I want to connect to region North, the primary is now longer and it's now on the West server. So if I run this, I see that we're on the West. So I refresh here. See that region North is now on the West server. If I now also fail over this region, this availability group, now if I connect to the availability group we just failed over, the West region, we are now sitting on the North server. And I did with the demo, I also failed over. I'm not sure if I demonstrated that it also changed server. That's also on North. We'll fail it over to complete the demo. We'll fail over the demo group. We'll fail it back to the West server. And let's connect here. To AO demo. And we run our little query. And it's changed to the West server. I hope this has been informative. I will put links to the PowerShell scripts in particular, which come from Microsoft documentation. And contact details in the details below. Thank you.